Today, we're looking at a really transformative book, Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. It really challenged how people think about building businesses, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's become, a cornerstone text for innovators. So our plan today is basically to unpack why it got so famous, what the core ideas are, maybe some surprising takeaways.
Right, and how it actually gives entrepreneurs a different kind of blueprint, and figure out if it's a book you should definitely pick up.
Exactly. And Thiel kicks things off with this really central idea, the difference between going 0 to 1 and just 1 to N.
Okay, 0 to 1 versus 1 to N. What's the distinction there?
So 1 to N is like doing more of what works, copying a business model, globalization, that kind of thing, familiar stuff.
Like adding more lanes to the highway.
Yeah, pretty much. But 0 to 1, that's the big leap, creating something totally new. Thiel says that's where real progress happens. It's about questioning those received ideas, as he puts it.
And he starts by asking a pretty challenging question himself.
Yeah, he does. It's a great framing question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? It forces you to think differently from the start.
So what's his contrarian truth?
Well, he gives a couple. First, he says most people think globalization is the future, but actually technology matters more. And then the big one.
Go on.
He says most people think competition is healthy, but the truth is the opposite.
Whoa, okay, the opposite.
Yeah.
That goes against pretty much everything, right? Business 101 is all about competition.
Exactly. But he makes a case for what he calls creative monopoly. And it's not about, crushing rivals in some evil way.
Okay, so what is it about then?
It's about being so good, so unique at what you do that nobody else offers a close substitute. Think Google back in 2012, massive 21% profit margin. Now compare that to the entire U.S. airline industry that same year. They made something like 37 cents per passenger. Tiny margins.
Ouch. Okay, so the monopoly captures the value because it's unique?
Precisely. Thiel argues intense competition is actually a destructive force. It leads to no profits for anybody, just this relentless pressure, ruthlessness, or death.
He gives examples, right?
Yeah, he talks about the restaurant scene in Mountain View, super competitive, everyone fighting for the same customers, profit squeezed to almost nothing. Compare that to PayPal in its early days, where they basically had the market for a while.
Right, and the dot-com bust.
He points to that too, that madness, he calls it, where companies like Pets.com got so caught up in competing, they just burned through cash and lost sight of what matters.
So if competition is the enemy, being first isn't the goal either.
Not necessarily. He argues for the last mover advantage. It's not about being first, it's about being the one who dominates a specific niche and then scales up smartly.
Like Amazon starting with books.
Exactly. Books, then CDs, videos, gradually expanding. Or eBay starting just with, believe it or not, Beanie Babies, then building out the whole marketplace.
Huh. Beanie Babies?
Okay. It connects to his idea of definite optimism. The belief that the future isn't just random chance like a lottery ticket. It's something you can actually plan and build. Success, he says, is never accidental. You have to have a plan, a vision.
And this isn't just for companies, right? It applies to individuals, too.
Absolutely. He links it to the power law in venture capital. You know, how a tiny number of investments generate almost all the returns.
Yeah, the big winners.
Right. So for your career, he suggests focusing relentlessly on something you're good at. But, and this is key, before that, you need to think really hard. Is this thing going to be truly valuable in the future?
Okay, so find your unique value proposition for the future. Then what? How do you build the company itself? He talks about secrets.
Yes, secrets. These are undiscovered opportunities or truths about the world, about people, things others haven't seen yet.
Like Airbnb realizing people had spare rooms they could rent out.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Or Uber and Lyft seeing the potential to connect drivers and riders directly using technology. These were secrets hidden in plain sight, almost.
And finding those secrets is tied to getting the initial setup right. The foundations.
Very much so. He stresses how important the founding team is. Choosing co-founders is like a marriage, he says. Those early decisions, the initial rules, they set the direction for the long haul.
The famous PayPal Mafia comes to mind.
Exactly. That tight-knit group who worked well together at PayPal and then went on to found or fund so many other huge tech companies. It shows the power of a strong, aligned culture. Thiel basically says a good culture is just what that looks like on the inside.
Makes sense. And within that culture, he has this one thing rule.
Yeah, giving each person a single, unique responsibility. The idea is to reduce overlap, potential conflict, and help people build strong working relationships over time.
Okay, so you've got your secret, your foundation, your team,
Yeah.
but people still need to buy your product, right?
Oh, definitely. He tackles the nerds versus salesmen idea. Distribution is crucial. You can build the best thing ever, but customers will not come just because you build it.
Sales matters.
Hugely. But he adds a nuance. The best sales is hidden. It shouldn't feel like a hard sell. He even tells that funny story about PayPal hiring Scotty from Star Trek as a spokesperson.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
Total flop, apparently. Whereas William Shatner, Captain Kirk, was famously successful for Priceline. It just shows how finding the right way to sell, often subtly, is critical.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, we've unpacked quite a bit. The core ideas the contrarian takes. Is 0 to 1 actually worth reading?
I'd say absolutely yes. It's essential reading, really, because it pushes you, forces you to question assumptions, to reject that conventional path.
It's about designing the future, not just letting it happen, whether that's for a company or even just your own life path.
Right. It gives you a mental toolkit, a mindset for finding those unique ways to create genuinely new things, to go, well, from 0 to 1.
So our deep dive shows it's not about just tweaking things or following trends. It's about bold thinking, long-term vision, finding those secrets others miss.
That's the core message. Challenging, but potentially game-changing.
Which leaves us with a question for you listening. What piece of conventional wisdom are you just accepting right now in your work or your life? What might happen if you really questioned it? Could it open up a whole new path? Something to think about.